Board of Works meeting to order. Phyllis, could we have roll call?
Craig Koshaw.
Here.
Bill Cartline.
Here.
Ben Myers.
Here. You've emailed a copy of our minutes from our July 2nd meeting. If you had a chance to review those, I'd look for a motion to either approve or amend them.
Approve as email.
Second. Motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. First thing on the agenda is the contract with Taylor Gage for the 2nd Street sidewalk work. Taylor has sent in a contract. Phyllis has went over it, and she's noticed that there are some things that are going to need edited. And otherwise, everything looks good, Phyllis, as far as...
We actually approved the bid back on June 18th, and he's just submitted his contract now for the mayor to sign. So if we can just have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign after the corrections are made.
So moved.
Okay.
What type of corrections? Need clarity?
Yeah, there's some mistypings, and then the amount's not quite right what the bid was.
Okay.
So that may have to be amended.
It's just probably
And I
correcting
mentioned
clerical
to Taylor,
errors.
and he said he was fine with whatever we changed. Just let him know, and he'll re-sign the contract.
Okay. Just approve the amount of the bid and authorize the mayor to sign the contract with such corrections.
Motion and a second for me to okay, pending the various corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Second thing, Eric Mitchell was sworn as a police officer last week, and we need to make his employment contract and his certificate of appointment a matter of record. And Phyllis has that here, and do we all sign it, Phyllis?
Yeah, there's 2 copies. Both signed.
Motion to make that a matter of record? I second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I will sign this and pass it down for you all to sign.
Taylor Gage. Contract revisions. Second Street sidewalks. Sign by there. And then this was a matter of record.
You need to sign it, Craig.
Yeah.
Or that was
2
the
copies.
2nd Street project. That's for the 2nd Street project. that
Taylor
he
Gage's
awarded.
contract for 2nd Street. Raining out there, Tyler?
Yeah, or maybe Kevin unlocked the back on me. We don't want to mess up here.
Kurt, come on up here.
What are we looking at first?
All kinds of things. Just come on up, and then we'll go from there. And Matt and Tyler, try to listen in while you're signing these, because there's some things here that you may or may not know about that you just would like to know. First, I guess the situation at the D&D Time Saver Car Wash. The Valentines that own that had kind of planned on selling it. And in their process of doing that and getting a survey, I actually think they knew all along that it was in the floodplain. But several things came out, and next thing you know, I got a letter from FEMA, and they had hired Bill Wemhoff to do a survey, and Bill applied for what's called a LOMA, L-O-M-A. What's it stand for, Tim?
Letter of Map Amendment.
Letter of Map Amendment. It doesn't take it out of the floodplain, but yet it would allow the next owner not to have to get flood insurance. And in doing so, all kinds of things were found, such as when it was constructed, how dirt had been brought in It was put in the floodplain like in the early 70s. It was built in, I think, 89. And so they built it in what they knew was a floodplain. After I got this letter from FEMA, which looked like we were going to get a little slapping on the hand kind of a thing, at least, or maybe more, we kind of got Kurt fired up and got Rod Rinkenberger on it and Tim, and where are we at here?
Can you take it off the street and help you go on here?
We've talked about all kinds of things out there, as far as, first of all, I guess looking back at the Building and Zoning Department, Jack Gaffer was the Building and Zoning Superintendent. I think Harold Miller was the mayor at the time. We have no records of any building permit ever being issued. Kurt checked with the state. There was no state permit issued. So if they build it without a building permit, and I don't know if the city turned a blind eye, we can't ask anyone. Mayor and the building superintendent are both passed away by now, so we don't have a whole lot to go on. We've asked, in talking, as soon as we contacted them, they said that they were going to get legal counsel. So in talking to their attorney, Tim has asked their attorney, hey, Valentine's built all this, do they have any documentation from back when they built it, you know, as to building permits or inspections or anything. So we're waiting to hear from them as to what they might produce on their behalf. But long story short, we don't know what's going to happen here. Worst case scenario is, you know, it could affect our flood insurance rating that Rod Rinkenberger has worked so hard to get. You know, we keep getting it raised higher and higher, so that flood insurance to anyone in a floodplain around here, it keeps decreasing rather than increasing because of our efforts to take things out of the floodplain. So that could happen. It could affect our applications for buying out any more properties long term if FEMA so chooses. But you know, here's something that happened in 1989, and it's never caused a problem. So it's one of those things that we would like to kind of do like we did with IDEM, you know, where we asked them for 3 more years to fix our problem with our combined sewer overflow. Just ask them, you know, okay, what do we need to do here? I mean, we could possibly be held liable to have to raise the floor of the mechanicals. I mean, it could cost us tens of thousands of dollars on this whole thing. Could.
But they want to sell.
They want to sell it, yes. Tim, I probably said too much.
Well,
public record person. I'll let you talk.
I mean, basically, there's 2 issues. One is that the mechanical room, and it's not a big facility, a big room, but where they have all their pumps and their heaters and all that kind of stuff.
Car wash, right?
At the car wash. That floor is about an inch or so below the 100-year flood elevation. Those systems are actually supposed to be 2 feet above it if you're in a flood zone area or floodway. The second issue is the fill that they brought in. And the initial reaction of FEMA is that they may require modeling to be done to show that bringing in that fill did not have a significant impact on raising the water level when we have a flood event. And, you know, talking with Rod, he's of the opinion that because of the way that area floods, there's backwater that comes from different directions, and it's not just from the creek itself. So to do the modeling, you're probably looking around $10,000 just to do the modeling, and what Rod thinks is you'd have to carry a decimal point out 6 or 7 places before you would know whether there was any impact or not, which seems ridiculous. So we're trying to convince FEMA, or at least Rod I think is, or we will, to say, look, the modeling is not something that's needed. But they're going back to modeling that was done prior to the construction, so they know what was the elevations at that time. They now know what the elevations are based on Bill Wemhoff's survey, and so they're saying, obviously, Phil was brought in, so now they want modeling done to determine whether that had an impact on increasing the water level when we have a flood. That's one issue. The second is then if in order to bring the mechanical room up, you're going to have to raise electrical outlets, motors, different components of the mechanical room, and we're trying to get cost estimates of that as well to determine what that would be. And then the third issue is, does the city have exposure? You know, certainly you can make an argument that the owners were aware of the circumstances there, and that if they didn't get permits when they should have, that they have a responsibility. But on the other hand, they're saying that they came before the city for rezoning, or it was rezoned at some time. They thought they could build there. Nobody told them they couldn't, so they did. Nobody told them they couldn't bring in fill, so they did. So did we drop the ball, and have we been exposed? Because it impacts the entire city. It impacts everybody that has flood insurance, because it could raise their premiums, and it could impact us in terms of future flood mitigation through FEMA grants. So we're trying to sort this out. We're trying to get some information to see if the owners have any information with regard to any permitting that was done. But
It's all because they want to sell it?
what happened was
That's their problem. It's part of your building,
they had a,
tear it down.
they had a potential buyer.
FEMA program.
Listen,
They had a potential buyer. Buyer found out that the buyer was going to have to carry flood insurance. They were talking to Bill Wemhoff. Bill said, well, you can get out of that if you do a LOMA and it's granted by FEMA. They said, file it. So he did. But it should have never been filed, because it was obvious it wasn't going to be granted. And all it did is kick a sleeping dog.
It didn't have an accurate elevation.
FEMA never would have ever known about this, ever had.
Yeah. And that's what prompted the letter to the city to begin with.
There's a lot of things that were built that shouldn't have been built. Like the whole Gerber's Plaza over there that they now can't sell because it's too low. Steve Christner claims he can't sell his business because he's in a floodplain. I don't know he's wrong. How do you get a permit to build a basement there?
I mean, really, wouldn't that be their problem, though? If there was no permit, how is that on?
We're trying to find out if there was. We don't have any records whatsoever on that. So if there were permits and they have them, if they produce them, then we may have an issue.
The only thing we have is we have meeting minutes where they rezoned that area to business or commercial.
Right.
Which does absolutely nothing as far as changing whether it's a floodplain or not.
Right.
Was that done when they did the car wash or the gas station?
It was the gas station, the dentist office.
All that.
Included that property.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. There's a few other things. Go ahead.
We're not going to spend a lot of money on this in attorney fees, are we? I wouldn't.
well,
I'd let it see what happens, see what type of paper they produce. They did the illegal thing. It wasn't the city. Unless they can produce that.
Well,
Because we have no
they're
paperwork.
saying that the city gave them permission to do it.
Sure.
I have no
People say
permits.
that about fences and all kinds of stuff.
That's why we've asked for...
Yeah,
Show me
that's
your
what we've
permit.
thrown the ball back at them. We're waiting to hear.
I wouldn't spend
But
any more
long
money
story
until
short,
we're
if it's going to risk our flood insurance and all of our, mitigation possibilities, yeah, then we may have to spend some money.
Even if they can't produce
well,
permits, it's still
no,
gonna affect
you could say, we're not going to do anything. It's your nickel, it's your problem, you deal with it. But the consequence is it affects everybody in the city then, because they're going to pay higher flood rates.
even if they can't produce the permits. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's FEMA that says, then we're going to jerk your high standing and we're going to lower it and require everybody to pay higher premiums.
That too.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can certainly say, not our problem.
Right.
But there are consequences to the city if you do.
Right, because if they don't bring it into code, FEMA comes into us and says, you know, this is your issue.
What's that mean, then we have to condemn it?
I don't necessarily think condemn it. We have to bring it into code, according to FEMA regulations. And,
We or them?
well, depends on if you want to keep your insurance or not. You want to keep your buyout program. FEMA could go that route.
We're trying to get FEMA to be reasonable under the circumstances. The guy we talked to the first time was not necessarily the most helpful,
No.
but the guy that is actually in charge is somebody we've not had a chance to speak with, and we're hoping that we'll have a little more success with him.
Yeah, really. Other things that, some of these I know you the council members do know about, some you don't. The IDEM violation letter that we got, Carrie's been working on that. You're sending, did you send it yet?
It's sent.
Okay.
Letter I talked to you about today, which is an update on the CSO ruling.
Okay. And at the last meeting, Bill, you mentioned about some kind of a possible, using one of our engineering firms as a consulting firm, whatever. Have we thought any more about that, Carrie?
We kind of have that already set up with the maintenance program that we purchased, because American Structure Point they have a capital improvement portion of their contract, so they can come in and help.
Who's that with?
American Structure Point.
Okay. American Structure. Would you call it a what?
That's what it is.
Capital improvement.
And they come in and actually let you know how efficient your plant's running?
I think it was originally designed to be able to look at all of the assets over an extended period of time and say this is where you need to spend money, but I don't know why we couldn't include some of those other options if that's what you'd like to do.
And I think, last I talked to Mike too, he said there's part of that contract that we're not going to utilize. As far as they're wanting to do certain things with the contract that we're not going to exercise that option in the contract, so there could be extra money there if need be.
So, with that letter of compliance of June 10th, 2019, are we in compliance now, Carrie?
We have to,
The way the plant's running and the solids falling out?
everything was great for June. July, we have 2.5 weeks left, it looks good. I don't know what this rain's going to do. It's all, some of it's subject to weather, but we have to keep 3 months of no violations, and then we are not in that significant non-compliance anymore. That makes sense. We get our letter after 3 months of no violations. We are.
I don't know why it's not taken.
Okay. All right.
So we are in compliance for phosphorus and percentage of phosphorus and mercury then, and E. coli?
Right now we are.
Between June and, since we got this letter?
July so far is looking great.
Okay.
Then, the Bank of Geneva, or what's the name of that bank now? It's
Farmers Merchants.
Farmers Merchants. The entrance that they put in off of US 27 isn't where NDOT wants it. Tim, you want to explain that a little bit more? There were two parcels, there were two entrances.
NDOT apparently claims that that was a residential drive. It's not to be used for commercial purposes. The bank thought it was there so they could use it as their entrance into the bank. Apparently NDOT says it's too close to the intersection. The only thing that they could do is they could move it further down because they own that parcel to the south, and they could run the entrance in and then have a road that runs parallel to 27 to the bank.
Say it's too close to the intersection.
Right.
It's fairly close.
So,
And we haven't heard from farmers merchants yet as to what if they're going to, because there's the other entrance is there, but it goes into that vacant lot that's there, where they would have,
both those lots,
Yeah.
they might need them.
so.
Really bought 3 lots.
it's really a matter for NDOT, I think, and the bank.
But just letting everyone be made aware of it.
They haven't really finished that. The other bank looks done and beautiful, and that one full of weeds.
I mean, is there landscaping? We got a ribbon cutting out there pretty soon here, don't we, Craig?
Yeah,
Imagine they're waiting on
Next
their...
week.
Yeah.
That other bank doesn't seem like it just built.
Yeah, different people doing it. And then 2 things that Kurt was involved in on the same day, actually, and Kurt had the day of the 28th, the day we had the mayor's golf outing. Kurt just had a great day that day. First, him and the health department went out and called on a house
On 9th Street.
on 9th Street,
Was it 128 South 9th?
2 houses north of Jefferson Street, on the west side of the street, where they'd been, was this come from a citizen's complaint or what?
Yeah, we had a couple complaints that Bill had received, a bad odor coming from a garage. So we informed the health department. The health department scheduled a meeting with the owner of the home. We went down, and the owner of the home took us in the house, and the front bedroom, they had anywhere from, I want to say, 36 to 40 python snakes living in the front bedroom. From there, we went into the garage, and as soon as we opened the door, the stench of ammonia hit us. And he had just Rubbermaid plastic containers full of mice and rats to feed them. Well, when we first got in there, the gentleman told us that he was kind of doing a side business, and he was raising the rats to feed his pythons that he's crossbreeding, and he did tell the health department at one point that he was also selling some of the mice and rats. Basically, we informed him he was in violation of city ordinance, running a business not being properly zoned. The health department hit him with a few things, and we told him basically he would have to come in front of BZA to get a variance. He has since requested to bypass the BZA and come to the Board of Works, because now he says he's not running a business. So
you're allowed to have 30 snakes.
there's this whole section on reptiles in our city ordinance.
Okay.
And one of the requirements is he must meet all state regulations, which he doesn't. One of those regulations is he needs to have a proper ventilation and air filtration system in that garage. Right now, he does not have that. The neighbors are complaining they can't sit on their back porches because of the stench. So, he will be here August 6th.
So are the city rules same as county rules?
No.
No.
I'm just curious. I know somebody that raises gerbils.
I know somebody who raises mice doing the exact same thing he's doing, but he's actually selling them, and he's under state regulations. And he's out in the country. So,
How many snakes are you allowed to have?
I don't think it really says.
Not
But there's not 36 to 40. I know if you have dogs, you're only allowed to have 3.
So that was the first thing he did that morning, and then he came out to the golf course and shared with me what fun he had at the house on 9th Street, and I said, well, you know, I told him, I'm sorry about your luck, and, and he hung out there for a little bit, and it's about 11:30, we're getting ready to introduce people, and he comes up to me and says, hey, I gotta leave. I go, what's the matter? He goes, police just called me, I gotta go out on another call. I said, okay. So he left, and the golf outing started. A little bit later, Kurt shows back up, shaking his head. Go ahead, Kurt, tell him.
This one was 122 South 14th Street. When I arrived, paramedics were there, fire department was there, police department was there, and the first thing I was asked is if I had Vicks. And I asked, what do I need Vicks for? And they said to shove up your nose. Because if I was going to go in the house, I was going to want it. No sooner than I was asked that, cool, that I seen they were bringing an elderly lady in a sheet and putting her on a gurney. The EMS crew had hazmat suits on. So at that time I called the health department. Jessica Bergdahl, Nathan Scherer came, and they provided me with a hazmat suit, and we went inside the house. There was not one clean spot on the floor. We were walking in probably 12 inches of empty food containers and empty water bottles. We were told by Adult Protective Services, the lady they removed from the house had not been off the couch in 6 months.
She died a week later.
Laying in her own feces, and the son, they were taking him to the hospital to have him checked out. He was diabetic. I guess the reason they got the call is because he did not have his medication, and I believe it was one of the neighbors who had talked to him and knew something was wrong, and they called paramedics.
Down kind of on Adams?
Just north of Casey's
Just
convenience
north.
store.
Yeah.
So now the lady's died.
She died.
She's died. There was black mold all over the one bathroom wall. I mean, it was completely covered. The stool in that bathroom had not been, well, it had been used, but
They didn't have running water, did they?
no.
Yeah, they did. We didn't turn it off. It wasn't turned off.
Well, it wasn't turned off,
But,
but the plumbing wasn't working.
okay, but we did. As a city, we
Stool
didn't
was
turn it
not
off.
working. There were buckets everywhere.
Should we have some sort of wellness check? As we drive around, if we see this house, say, do we have the right to say, we need to inspect your property to make sure?
I can't, by law, the building department or the building inspector cannot do that. I can only, if I get a complaint, I can investigate the complaint. I can contact the owner and ask for permission to come on the premises and do an inspection. If they deny me, then my next move is to go to court and get a 48-hour inspection warrant like we did for the trailer park.
It just sounds like this poor woman shouldn't have been living in those conditions.
No, she should not have. It was very foul. It's the worst house I've ever been in my life. The dining room table, there was so much garbage piled up you could not see the dining room table, and it was heaped up almost within a foot of the ceiling. You could not see the kitchen counter or the kitchen cabinets. You could see the kitchen faucet sticking up through garbage. That was about it. We were literally walking on garbage, trying to keep our balance. I mean, we had the full gear on. Our boots were covered with plastic covers. We had the pants, the shirt. We had masks, gloves.
So did she own this home?
Her and her son own this home. It's both. and
Health
there's-
Department has condemned it.
Health Department has condemned it. The Building Department has condemned it. We have sent notification to Scott Harmon,
The son.
the son, basically giving him 30 days to make all corrections, clean everything up, which we know that's not going to happen.
Do you know where he is?
I have no idea where he is.
I was there last year.
What was the address on that?
You were there last year.
122.
122?
On the yard.
South 14th Street.
And I was posting the sign, and she actually walked out of the house and came out the porch, and she was still in her nightwear. This was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And I just happened to go up to the door, and the house looked fine then, and she was fine. but this has probably all happened in the last year, so.
9th Street.
Hadn't they cleaned this house up once before they built?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we cleaned it up about 5 or 6 years ago, but we cleaned the backyard up. The backyard was a total mess, and yeah, we did that, so.
So that's that. Then,
So now what, is that scheduled?
well, we have to wait 30 days
We
to
have
see
to
if he
wait
does
30
anything.
days.
See if he does anything.
If he doesn't do anything in
we tear
30
it down.
days, then I schedule Board of Works meeting and I file for demolition procedures.
Which then leads us to Schermeyer Street, which
And then,
today,
About 8:30 last night, I got a phone call from the city police. They had responded to a drug overdose, and when the officer on site entered the home, there was no electricity. He said they had been running on a little portable generator, which, to be honest with you, about the only thing they could have powered in that house off that generator is probably the refrigerator. So,
Which house?
the 928 Schermeyer. We've been to this house before. Last winter, we sent
Was
an
it-
order to abate to remove...
drug overdose, you say, was last night?
Yes, yes.
Was, Lenny, did the guy have to be,
Had to be Narcan, and he was taken to the hospital. He lived.
he lived?
How old was the person, Lynn?
I don't know.
Oh.
I can check. I did get a name, but I don't know the person. I think he was from Bern, according to the officer told me.
Go ahead,
So,
Kurt.
actually, the officer on call was Kevin Gerber. I asked him if there was any children present in the house, and he said no, it's just adults. I told him if there's no electricity, technically they can't stay in that house, according to our ordinance. I asked him if there was anywhere she could go for the night, and he stated, yes, she had a mother who lived in New Haven. I said, well, can she stay there for the night? And then I said, I need to get into that house tomorrow morning, being this morning. He said, yes, she'll meet you here at 9 o'clock. So I immediately texted Jessica Bergdahl, let her know the situation. She responded back and said her and Nathan would meet me down there at 9 o'clock this morning. This morning I called Lenny and asked for police presence. Lenny himself showed up. When Lenny and I arrived, it was about 10 till 9, and one of the neighbors came down and stated that she had left with someone else 15 minutes prior to us arriving. So we checked all the doors were bolted shut. Back door had a padlock on it, side garage door had a padlock on it, so there was no getting in the house.
And she doesn't own the house, right?
Supposedly, no, she doesn't own the house. The owner, whoever owns the house, is in prison right now. Her husband is currently in jail. So we went around the property, snapped as many pictures as we could. There's all kinds of trash.
That picture there does not do it any
No,
justice.
this picture there does not do it.
That was a couple years ago.
There's a stack of bicycles, old bicycles behind the garage, probably this tall. There's trash containers everywhere, appliances. There's a big burn pile in the back where they burned an old car seat, they burned and a lot of other things, so we're issuing notices to abate. Actually, for that one, we're going to bring them in front of the Board of Works to figure out what their fine is going to be for burning in town. We have issued another order to abate to remove all the garbage and junk laying around.
So they padlocked it up because they didn't want you to see what...
They didn't want us to see what was going on in there. We did find ammunition through the windows that we could see through. There was 308s, 223s, but there's no law against owning ammunition. But what we could see was pretty cluttered. and you could smell, there was a pretty bad smell.
So what's next?
What kind of smell?
Musky,
Okay.
it was...
Anything to add, Lenny?
According to the op center, the gentleman was a 27-year-old male that overdosed.
So the family that lives there, there's an older gentleman and a lady. That's who I encountered last week. So this was the younger...
You were just there last week, Bill?
Yeah. Oh, I just happened to be across the street. I was taking pictures of the house, or the yard Habitat for Humanity owned, and they hadn't mowed it yet. I was putting my sign in. The next thing I know, I hear all this hollering. I see a lady running out in the street chasing this guy with a broom, whacking at him, and every other word was the F word, and they just were just going to town. And he finally looked up and saw I had the police golf cart, and he said, "Look, you're going to get us in trouble." And they kind of slowed down a little bit. She went back in the yard. He was still down the street, and I left. I didn't want nothing to do with this domestic dispute. So yeah.
But
Of course, we've cited them. Kurt cited them. I've cited them. So yeah,
But you weren't able to do any, I mean, Jessica or you, neither one were able to...
Well, at that time, I was looking for any exterior outlets, because we were told by the officer that there was no electricity, and so the only way to test that from the outside of the house is to find an outside recept, and I had my tester, and there's no outside recepts on this house. We did find the generator. The generator's sitting by the back door, and there's an extension cord that they had unplugged. So I called Tim, and Tim said we need to check with AEP to see if power had been cut off. If it had, then we can come back and condemn it. So we came back, we got with AEP. AEP said, yes, that has been deactivated, lack of payment. Came over to the water department to see how they were on their water bill, and lo and behold, they're a couple months behind, and as of today, their water was turned off. So that allowed me to, and Lenny, to go back out and we condemn the home. They have until July 20th to be completely out of the house.
Kevin, what do they owe the city, you know?
What they owe total?
Yeah.
It's over $400.
well,
That'll revert. July 20th to what?
Well, that, according to state statute from the health department and our new building ordinance, I have to give them anywhere from 5 to 15 days. I've given them 5 days. So they have till midnight on Saturday, July 20th. So she can go in, get whatever she needs, unless she pays her water bill and has that reactivated, and pays her electric bill and has that reactivated. Then I have to let her in.
Kevin, does it say in our billing this gentleman owns a place in prison, or is it under her name?
It's under her name.
And there's no record of
According to
she renting?
According to tax records, the house is in his name, but
Right.
the water is...
So actually, she's renting from him.
Correct.
Do you know what his name is, by any chance?
No, Rybeck.
Rye?
Rybeck,
That's the guy that's in prison?
yes. Her last name's Ketron.
Huh.
And her husband, Paul Ketron, is currently incarcerated.
Yeah, he probably
Nice
She
folks.
probably hit him too hard. Yeah, the broom broke and...
That have really tried, it's a lot more cleaned up than it was a few years ago, thanks to you guys out there doing it. It's a shame that it doesn't look that bad in that picture.
No, this picture is from 2006.
13 years old.
It's 13 years old.
Right.
Okay.
It didn't look that bad, I'll say, 3 or 4 years ago. The guy that was living there, I don't know if that same guy.
Last winter I cited him, and when Bill was on vacation, when Bill came back, I told him about it. Bill went down and looked at it again, and they had cleaned up quite a bit. And then a couple months later, Bill turns around and cites him again.
They're back in the same...
back in the same situation. So, and then this time around, the police were involved.
Okay. And lastly, what about the other two places on Shermeyer? Where are we at on those?
Yeah, the 904 and 710.
You know anything, Tim?
I did see Mr. Birdie tonight. Me and Donnie seen him, and I said, you need to call Tim, so he put a note in his phone. That
Yeah, that'll
he'll
happen.
Call you, yeah.
So we're waiting on something from the county, Tim?
Well, Mark, I think, was concerned that we had to have some court order, and the unsafe building statute doesn't require that at all. In fact,
No,
we went
but-
back and looked at the procedure Huntington follows, and they don't do that.
But on 710, back taxes the road, and we're trying to, I want to work with the county if at all possible. I don't think they're going to get their money, but come supposedly in October, that property is supposed to go back to the second.
The issue that we really want to talk to Mark about is, can the county basically take the property in lieu of back taxes, turn around and deed it to the city, and the city will take the building down?
That's what we're trying to get.
That's what we're trying to do.
What about the other property that the girl keeps coming in and mowing it?
She's
She's been given notice.
Yeah, she's been given notice. She has no claim.
We can't do it that way with that because she's got the taxes current.
Right.
So if she's willing to cover the cost of demolition,
Yeah, okay.
we might be willing to do it with our personnel if we have the ability to do it, and Jeremy's willing to.
Which Jeremy's told me he's willing to take both.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. That way she have a clean lot, and she maybe can do something with it.
904.
904, Shermeyer, and 710. 928, I don't know what's going to become of that. I've got a pretty good idea.
Oh, we'll see how it plays out.
I think we may end up owning it before it's said and done.
Did you happen to, and I forgot to tell you, did you happen to look across the street and look at the Hart's place? Did you see how the roof is really bowed now? It keeps getting worse.
Say that about several houses on Shermeyer.
Yeah, okay. There's Decatur, Indiana.
And then there's Shermeyer.
Okay. Kurt, you got anything else exciting?
What's the scoop of 710? I'm sorry, I didn't have much to say about that.
710, actually the company that owned it was an LLC out of Wyoming.
Yeah.
They went belly up about 3 years ago. I believe we have liens on it, weed liens on it. There's back taxes owed on it to the county.
Okay.
While do you have anything else?
We got time. Yeah, I got a couple things, but nothing that's. We got plenty of time.
While we're talking about this, could we discuss what our next move will be on, I've got about probably 6 properties that they haven't done anything to, and, I'll have updated pictures and everything. While Tim's here, can we talk about what is our next move? Is it a letter from Tim?
We've cited them,
We have cited them.
okay, and they have not followed through.
No.
Then according to our procedure, they're to be brought from the Board of Works to figure out what their fines will be and what their next step is going to be as far as cleaning the property up.
Now, is that a letter from Tim or from building planning?
We can send it from building and planning. I do know the idea of having Tim send out a letter is a lot more threatening, a lot more realistic.
And I would have Kurt send it first. If they don't respond, then I can send one out.
Okay.
But yeah, our procedure is if they don't follow through from the first abatement letter, then we send them another one requesting them to come from the Board of Works.
And that could come from Tim?
No, that'll come from us.
That'll come from us
And
to have them
if
come in
they
front
don't
of the Board
show
of
up to the Board of Works, then we have Tim issue a letter and say, look, this is getting real. So, if that doesn't happen, then we take...
Makes it look like a real nice street going down the street here. It's nice.
Well, can that be just standard letter, Tim, that we don't have to get with you every time we send that third letter out? Can you come up with?
It
just
depends
something?
on the facts. I mean, each one of them are different.
Really? Now, each one of them are not compliant, so I don't think they're different, but,
Well, we
Various locations around town.
yeah. They just don't care. And then you go back and, I was telling Kurt, next year, the guy that takes over is gonna have the same situation that I've encountered for 12 years. I mean, he's just gonna, like Roger Gage used to say, it's just like issuing Christmas cards. You're back there.
Well, we're gonna put an end to that
Well-
because what we're gonna start doing is in our letter telling them, look, if we have to come back, you're gonna be looking at fines of up to $500.
Well,
And if we have to come back after that, then you're gonna be looking at legal consequences.
I'm sure you'll get a little more forceful than we've been, so which is good, but I guess I'm just kind of,
This is the day and age we're living in right now, folks. It's just,
that's the house that the roof is sagging and it keeps sagging more.
that's a Habitat for Humanity house right there?
No, that's Hearts. The Habitat for Humanity lot's just directly north of that. Yeah.
Okay. It's not there, not picture.
According to our building code, I could pretty much probably wipe out Schermeyer Street. And I would keep the city very, very busy with demo work. Take you a day.
But if we remove some of these, then they are city-owned.
We're stuck with them. Now, I do
Yeah,
know,
but with a contractor,
Yep.
we have a housing shortage.
Yep.
We have a rental shortage.
but,
If they have a blank lot to start with, they might be enticed to do something.
well, and there are a few around town that are very enticed with the property down there, but they don't want the buildings that are on it. I've already been hit up by several individuals in town. What are you gonna do with that property when you tear the house down? Well, I don't wanna keep it, because we'll get a mow.
Right.
So it'll go up for sale. And we'll try and get our money out of it as much as we
I've
can.
been trying to encourage several of these guys and gals to buy something, fix them up, and flip them.
A couple of the houses down there could be fixed up. There's one house down there that I was gonna come in front of the Board of Works to get a demolition order. And before that happened, the owners contacted me. I went in the house. The outside was molded, OSB, it was bad. And the reason I got their attention is because when I went by there one day, there was an Amish crew out there covering up the old moldy OSB with new OSB. I was like, no, you can't do that. Well, then the homeowner came to talk to me, and she invited me down to go through the house. I get inside the house, and everything's brand new. Her and her husband have been working on that house for 2 years by themselves, all new floor joists, all new stairs, all new framed walls. So at that time, informed her she had to get a permit, and I'd work with her, and the house is coming along pretty good.
That's one of the exceptions, isn't it? Yep. Yep.
So,
I think that's it for you. Thanks,
cool.
Kurt.
Yeah, I'm tired of sitting here.
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I was driving down there last year. Some lady came out of the house and stopped me in the street, and she said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." I said, "For what?" "You have made this street so much more clean and appealing." And I just kind of felt my heart to see if I was dreaming or alive or whatever. It was kind of cute because I didn't see it, but she was happy, so.
It's nice to be thanked, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the last council meeting, or at the last Board of Works meeting, when I guess we opened the bids for the loft, our first floor. It wasn't at the Board of Works meeting, it was a couple days before that. But I've talked to Corey Clark. He hasn't really offered any help in any way. So tonight, I would like to just keep take it under advisement, keep that...
Keep the bids under advisement.
Keep them under advisement a little longer, give us a chance to... We're going to meet with Biggs, is it tomorrow or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday. See what Biggs has to say about it all. We've checked with Biggs as far as if we have a certain time limit before we have to finish that off. They don't know of one. It doesn't seem to be something that's going to affect their tax credits. So, but we'll talk with Biggs, and I've asked Corey Clark a couple more questions I'm waiting to hear back from him on. And we'll just, for now...
So it's possible we could encumber funds as...
Well, we would either have to find more money yet this year and accept the bid and get it finished, or deny the bids and rebid it at a different time.
And if you rebid it, you could also change the scope of what you bid.
Mhm.
That's, you know...
Change the design?
You have different options. Right.
Well, there's things that... Yeah, it looks very nice, but there's things that can be cut out of that.
And wasn't Big supposed to do more?
That was the last conversation.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what Corey Clark said.
Yeah.
We're asking,
Biggs if he...
when was it represented it was going to be this build out? When did it change to this, and when
Right.
did the city agree to it? We haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I'm not sure that happened. I think that was...
Biggs, we think, just kind of keeps cutting things back, and, like, you know, for example, the thing over the front, you know, they pulled that. The original rendering showed that there was going to be like an awning out there. They pulled that. They said that they didn't have the money to do it. Hearing through the grapevine that, we don't know if it's true, we'll find out Thursday, that in the green space on the plaza, they're supposed to have a little pavilion there, that may not happen. We'll find that out Thursday as well. So,
How about what appears to be where they're going to put dumpsters?
yeah,
That's halfway into the alley.
Yeah, how's that?
well, the alley running north and south, the alley behind your place is not going to be an alley, you know, it's going to be a pedestrian thing. But nonetheless, and ultimately the alley that runs east and west, you know, is supposed to be a pedestrian alley now. We had a bollard up there, got...
But like that, be one thing if it was stuck out this much in the alley.
Yeah. Don, did you say Jeremy's, you guys were looking into where they put the dumpster thing?
Yes, encroaching on the alley.
And we've told them, and they're going to do something about it?
Jeremy told me they can't pour it like that, and they haven't poured it yet. They haven't moved it, they haven't poured it.
Okay.
They had it ready to pour, they got their
He's had it ready to pour. And
chicken
Jeremy-
wire or whatever. Yeah, like we have a garage on our building to get into. But
Is that today?
Extra, decided to put up a fence or something, you couldn't get to it.
There's 928 Schermeyer today. Yes.
Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty on the right.
You go around the back? The back is unbelievable.
There's the bicycles,
Yeah.
start of them anyway.
Got a nice pop-up tent.
Yeah. Oh, he's got another pop-up tent up front that's got
Somebody sleeps in that one.
got a bed and
Yep.
a body.
It looked like somebody was sleeping in that one. There, yeah, there's the,
This must be.
Yeah, can't run there.
there's back behind the garage.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Back to the streetscapes. Now Tyler's up here. Cam won't be here tonight, and Wiley said he wouldn't be here until the council meeting, but I sent an email out to all of you yesterday. Do you want me to bring that up at the council meeting? Is it something we want to discuss? We want to leave it like it is?
Well, I don't think we want to leave it like it is, now that they've looked into it.
Well,
If they think it's not symmetrical, I guess. I don't have a problem with the 4 trees on the corners, like it sounded like Jeremy was suggesting. But then, where do the other ones go?
keep in mind, all the work that the design committee put into this, and that when they came to us, we balked at it. And then we compromised with them. And now that Jeremy's laid it out, and Jeremy and Don and Matt and all the guys notice that this isn't looking quite right here, the way we got this laid out. So, if we do anything before council makes a decision, I think out of respect to the design committee, we would want to at least, what's left of the design committee, two of them were angered with us and quit. But I guess it's Max and, help me. Melissa. And somebody else too, right? Isn't there still? No.
They've added Hamburgo and Richland.
But otherwise, from the original, it's just you and Max were the only two? Okay, and Alex. And I copied Max and Brian Clemens and Melissa on this yesterday when I sent that email out. So, yeah, I mean, if you want me to bring it up at council, I will. Bring it up now, unless you got more. Well, it wasn't a...
Jeremy and Don had a suggestion.
Jeremy won't be here tonight either.
Right, but you want to run it by the design committee, is what you're saying?
I think out of respect to the design committee, I think we would owe that to them. Do you think so, Melissa? I really haven't talked to Melissa about this.
I'm fine with them unless the design committee doesn't want the responsibility of placing it, or I'll start another.
Now, in addition today, I got a phone call from next door, Kelly Eggleston at Gases, who was really angry because we're putting a tree out in front of her place, and she didn't know anything about it. Nobody stopped and told her anything. And I told her to hang on, let me go out and look. I'll call her back. I went out and looked. It's not in front of her store. It's about 10 feet this way. It's at the very south end of City Hall here. It's not in front of her store. She kind of calmed down when I called her back. But she said, I still didn't know anything. Nobody told me anything. She said, I didn't know anything until Wiley Certain dropped off something last week from Main Street saying construction was going to begin this week. So, do you know, Melissa, was anybody there told beforehand?
Not to my knowledge.
So, are there other businesses besides her that wasn't surveyed during that time when we were supposedly surveying them, and that we might hear from that would be upset?
I got to as many businesses on my own as I could in this one block area.
Okay. My question was, is there anyone else I might be hearing from? Can you give me a list of who you did contact?
On the original proposal, we gave all that information.
Okay, and that had the home place and Just Because, and I think Icorns, if I remember right. So those were the only three.
I can't remember, but I sent you that information again on this week or last.
I think that was the only ones on there. Yeah, Connie's complaining she's already getting leaves blowing up into her alcove from the plaza. So she didn't want a tree, but she says she understood that it is what it is. So.
So the original question was, there 4 trees is what there is?
There's 4 trees, 2 at the south end, 1 in the middle on the other side of the street, and 1 down here just at the south end of City Hall.
And what do they want to do?
Jeremy just emailed me and said, hey, when we laid it out, seeing how this is, because it's going to look kind of unusual with a tree here and not a tree across from it, and 1 over here but not across from it. And that was his comment. He says,
I guess we want symmetrical. We want tree, 4 on the corner, then tree, or do you want them here, and here? My only comment when we saw the first professional drawing was that's too many trees. It looked like they had 10 of them on each side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that looked like a little too much. I just drove through Monroeville Sunday. They got the same thing we got going. They got the same black lights. They got a strip of pavers. They don't have trees, but they have big boxes planted in the ground with looks very professional, and hell, if Monroeville can do it. It looks nice. So then the design committee come back and said, we want trees, but since we said there was too many, just 4. But I think they really wanted more trees through that stretch. But I agree with Jeremy too, before we do this, let's line it up where we want it.
Melissa, you're the only one here from the design committee. You don't want to speak on their behalf?
I'm not going to speak for other people who just learned about this new proposal in the last day.
And you haven't talked to any of them?
I have not.
And they want to start construction.
Well, like I said, I emailed them yesterday. I've not heard from any of them.
Design committee.
Yeah. Taylor Gage, because of the weather today, is not going to be able to start until Monday of next week. He was going to do it middle of this week. It's going to be first of next week now. So we've bought a little time. I guess I have called Brian Clemens and talked to him, and I don't know if he's not contacted you, right, Melissa?
I don't know if Brian's been out. He's been training for
Yeah, I
the
know.
job.
Yeah. I've talked to him now on the phone twice.
So I guess, Don, what is you and Jeremy's proposal?
I just thought it looked very strange having 2 on the south end and then one coming through in the middle and one down at City Hall. I'd like to see them at the bump outs because those are planar areas anyways. They're supposed to, they're going to have that slumping in that. I thought it would look more, I think it's not an afterthought, but it's however you guys want to do it.
Would the bump outs get it away from the infrastructure?
It would help. Either way, you're going right on top of the 4-inch stuff going on. Whether you move it 2 feet or you move it 4 feet, it's still going to be on top of the water. Our light poles are going to fall real close to the water.
Sally's not used at all anymore. All those we closed.
The alley on this side will be, but the one on that side, I think is still open for now.
Would that obstruct the view to have the trees in the background?
Melissa, who did you say, Pam Brugdahl, who else was the other one?
Rich Wyland.
Who is that?
Rich
Rich works at the library.
Oh, I know who he is.
Wyland?
W-E-I-L-A-N-D.
Okay, if you can get me his contact information, appreciate it.
Matt, is Monroeville done?
Yeah, it looks very nice. It looks like,
Maybe.
I don't remember last time I went through Monroeville, but it has the same black lights we have, a strip of pavers about that wide,
Planters instead of
and then instead of trees, it's boxes that are kind of big with these planters with very nice looking landscapes. It's only 2 blocks long, but I just noticed we went through, it looked nice.
Yeah.
I mentioned Abby, I said, I hope ours looks this nice.
And they got a little park too there. Pretty sharp.
Yeah, they're part of that East Allen Stellar thing, which their park is what they're working on, I think, in Monroeville for Stellar.
Melissa,
This is kind of,
could that be something
I'm
that
no artist.
you could be encouraged to go visit Monroeville, maybe if you're,
But if we're going to put them on
What's
the,
or take pictures anyway, or?
here's the bump outs.
The design committee
One here,
found
here,
out
here, and
how-
here.
They already presented a proposal
Okay,
to council. So to start over,
I got you.
it's how do you want them to proceed?
Okay.
Like I said,
I feel like I don't want the design committee to start over. I'd say ask them the question if they would like them staggered or symmetrical. And if we could get an answer from the design committee, that's what we go with.
if you can get me their emails, I'll email tonight,
I
yeah.
want to start over, but, I mean, does that sound like Craig, do you think they think it's symmetrical or unsymmetrical?
Well, you're asking my opinion. That my opinion is trees belong in parks and on golf courses, but that's already been done, so I'm out. I just don't like it over the infrastructure either, but that's been voted upon.
So you
My
would...
personal opinion
you
is
would-
if you're going to go with the symmetrical idea, I think that looks better and would look more like a planned thought than an afterthought.
I think that's Jeremy and Don's.
We understand you guys are gonna want trees, but we're gonna do it,
Yeah, like
Like
Don,
the
Don and but Jeremy both said, it's not that we want trees. We don't want trees. But if you're going to do it, let's make it look right.
Yeah, rather than choke the design committee down 4 trees only, make it look right.
So you're saying 8 trees, 4 on each side. And this is what I just drew. Isn't much of a drawing, but
You'll have trees at the alley, you'll have trees on each end.
yeah, trees at the alley and
So you're saying 4 trees at the alley? One on each side?
bump out.
On the bump out.
Okay, so is the alley by Sherwin-Williams going to be used?
That's still open, the other one,
It's open, it's a one-way going that way though, isn't it? So you'd turn off of 2nd Street into there. Any threat of hitting a tree?
You want to turn off of that, isn't it one way?
You turn off of 2nd going that way, yeah.
Oh, but like as far as a blind spot from a tree, you would never come up to that intersection and try to do
They
Correct.
come up second into Sherwin-Williams.
you line the right, parking.
I mean, ultimately, this alley down here is going to be closed, ultimately. But that one, it will still remain open, but it's one way off of 2nd Street going west.
Still be in alignment, I believe they're going to just be at the bump out.
Okay. I still don't know, am I to bring it up at council meeting, or?
I don't think there's any more to discuss.
I think check
Tyler
with the
just
design
put it out.
committee.
What's that, Tyler?
I'd ask the design committee if they're all right with the symmetrical look and move forward.
And if so, just move forward. By consensus, is that agreeable? I didn't.
Yes, to me.
Craig?
It's a council decision, buddy.
Huh?
That's a council decision,
Here,
not
me,
mine.
the last, we voted on, he wasn't for trees. He
Mhm.
voted against.
But I said, whatever you,
Yeah.
it's a team, we do what we say.
Exactly.
I'm cool with it.
Yep.
Okay.
I just, not blaming anybody, but I don't know how we got here. There's no need to tick off Mrs. Collier, you know, maybe she was a little too sensitive, but she put a lot of time and effort and money into the city, and now she's pissed, and I don't know if we're gonna get her back.
No, I don't think so.
And maybe it was her excuse to move on, but we overthought this.
Okay, next, Don, can you bring up the area of Monmouth Road and Riverview?
That email you sent me?
Yeah. Just bring it up on the GIS if you want, or you can bring that picture up, doesn't matter. Excuse me? Monmouth Road across from Riverview Tavern, or whatever that place is called. Back when we had the flood, or not the flood, the oil spill, and to get the booms out and all that work that they did, they contacted the person who owns Riverview, Gina Wenger, and they gave them permission. You see that there's 2 areas. The one to the north, the pipeline people asked if they could put some rock down so that they could drive vehicles back there and get down to the river for all the booms and whatever, and she okayed them to do that. Then afterwards, they asked if they could just keep it there so that we'd have an access if we ever needed to get down there, and she said okay. And I guess Jeremy made the comment, I talked to her on the phone, she said Jeremy, made the comment to her that maybe someday the city might be interested in buying that. You see there's a little strip between that and Monmouth Road on the north. That's owned by Bungie. On the south, she owns the entire little space to the south there. I asked Carrie today if there's any reason why might want that. And she said, she replied back an email, said, when talking to Verlin, the property to the south of the lift station has more value to the city. It has 3 storm sewers and 2 sanitary sewers in that small area. But the north area, there was nothing there that would even, yeah. So,
Be a great boat ramp for the fire department or any kind of emergencies we'd have. It's all what, number 2s right now?
The pink line is our force main that runs through. Yeah, it's probably right on the bummy.
and why do they want to sell it? She didn't say why, she just said, Jeremy mentioned it to her, she goes, I thought about it a little bit more, and if the city is interested, I would be willing to sell it. And I said, okay, well, I have no idea if we have any interest, I'll find out
That conversation just happened.
today.
Because they're selling that far right now.
Well, then that must be why she's, yeah, must be why.
We already have a legal easement for
On the north
you
part.
do?
On the north only, not the south?
wherever you see our lines, I'm
Yeah.
sure we have easement.
That pink.
Where's our lift station? Can you zoom in some?
That's where you see the multiple points,
Okay, so south of that,
see the building?
Yeah.
yeah, well, now go south of there. So we don't have anything running through there like Verlin said?
You have
We got easements, don't we?
Down the road.
Excuse me?
Just down the road like you see it. We have storm lines that run through there.
3 storm sewers and 2 sanitary sewers.
Let me turn the storm on.
What was the green one?
So your storm shoots across to the river like that. There's the lift station again.
Okay, so there are 3 storm sewers, no sanitary?
Yeah, the sanitary is what I had.
South side of the lift station.
Sanitary with the green line.
Let me get my true sanitary.
Okay.
But with those lines, you've also got easements, right?
I would hope.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll be glad to just tell her at this time we're not interested. I don't think we need them necessarily.
Floodplain, I don't know why we...
I don't think we want to get involved in floodplain property.
No.
We own them around the lift station.
Okay. I will let her know we're not interested if that's, unless somebody wants to speak up and say otherwise.
The only thing I would recommend is we verify that we have an easement,
Yep. For sure.
because if we don't, we may
How do
want
we
to buy it.
verify that?
Yeah.
How do we verify we have got an easement?
There should be something of record
With the county?
in the county recorder's office, but
Yeah.
you got to do a search for it.
Okay, so
Hey, Don? I think, can you verify that we have an easement over this property since our line runs through there? Do you have any way of doing that short of having a search done of the records?
I can't. County layers and stuff aren't gonna show it, I don't believe.
Phyllis, do we have any kind of file on
Easements we do.
easements? Can you check to see if we've got anything on that property?
Probably the one north and south. The 3 drains there, the 3,
Do you have an actual address on that, Don?
now we can pull. Let me see here. Phyllis, it says
that's the line from the pump house.
1133 North Monmouth Road.
Would that line
1133.
have been put in when the interceptor was put in originally?
Originally, it probably was.
So chances are, that's probably when we would have gotten an easement to run that line.
Did you have an easement when we ran along the river before?
Did we run the new interceptor all the way out to the plant, or was that tied in at some point?
Tied in, it's with The lift station was there first.
Yeah.
It would have been the old interceptor that run along the edge of the river that's exposed now to the trail. Which I assume we never had easements for that. You know how that's been when we looked for easements already?
That's why I'm concerned. Because if we don't have an easement, we may want to buy it.
That's right. It probably won't be very much because it's in floodplain. Can't do anything else with it.
It's not, shouldn't be costing, right.
It shouldn't be on the district. Anything else in business?
Phyllis, if you would, check and see if you find anything on an easement on that property.
And I won't call her yet.
It may have been back when the interceptor was first put in. So that's, when would that have been? Don or Carrie, do you know when that interceptor was originally put in?
I might have something.
See if you can find, because,
I'm gonna go through my old files.
see if you can find anything on that, because chances are, when that interceptor was run out to the plant, we should have gotten easements then.
Yeah, I think I might have a file on some of the utility easements too overall.
Okay.
I'm very confident that the one that easement was there north of the lift station, but he didn't mention anything about the all the structure stuff.
Okay.
So Bungie owns the property south of our pump station, and this Riverview Tavern would own the property north. Is that right?
I guess.
The way it looks?
Yeah, so,
So that line runs right along that.
hey, Don, check with Brent Miller, because he did survey work on the new interceptor. He shot elevations. He might have some records.
Well, didn't we update that lift station and then run a new line for the plant? Like, oh, what, 8, 07?
Could have been.
I remember that, I remember another company working in the river down there, crossing the river.
Okay. Yeah, I know I had to get some easements on this most recent, but those were along 2nd Street.
Right, no, that was...
We didn't do anything like that there.
It would have been many, back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
The only reason I remember is I didn't get to work, so I was upset they were in the river, violating every erosion control practice possible.
We have anything else?
Reason to stick to my mind.
Okay.
Bill, you make a motion to adjourn?
Sure. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
What we got?
Madison Street needs a matter of record.
Yeah, the Madison Street rules, I have revised them as per our last thing. I'd like to make this a matter of record.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Anything else? Okay.
That's just all the discussion between.
Motion to adjourn from Bill, I second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Council.